All right, in 5 minutes or less, I'm going to cover the top 3 things I believe is going to affect you most as a consumer with the NAR settlement, and that involves when does this start, how do buyer agents get paid, and what do you have to do to go see a house. Real estate has been in the microscope lately in regards to lawsuits, the real estate market being hot, being cold, interest rates. We've been on every aspect you could on the news. I personally don't like that. However, the biggest aspect is actually this NAR settlement, which I'm sure most of you had heard. If you have not, NAR, which is National Association of Realtors, got sued. People didn't like how we operated, I guess, a giant antitrust lawsuit, whatever. And now things are changing. This really affects the consumer more than it actually affects the agent. Now, what you need to know first is when does this all start? This all starts August 17th of this year. So in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, things are going to change for you as a consumer. The biggest thing is, how do you see a house? Right now, you can call an agent up, we can go show you the house and have conversations with you. What changes is you cannot see a house unless you have what's called a buyer agency representation or written statement that we are working together. Now, there are things that change in that statement. The term, it could be just for the house, it could be for a couple houses that day, or it could be for a year, 20 years, a month. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever you and that agent agree upon. So you are going to have to sit down and talk to the agent. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. I do everything I can to sit down with my clients initially. I might show them my home, 1 or 2 homes first, but then I pull back, we sit down, we have about a 30-minute meeting so we can go through, hey, what do you really want? What do you need, right? And then we can look at the general area on a map of what area works best for them or what schools they're looking for. We can sit down, look at what areas work best for them, find their price point, and then also more importantly, see what's out there. And we can really narrow down what they want so we're not wasting their time looking at a bunch of houses that don't match, and we can get really concise with them, because our goal here is to try and show them 10 homes or less, not because we don't want to work, because we're really good at sending homes or showing them homes that match their criteria, and they get to go feel it out. So you're going to have to sit down with an agent, you're going to talk about your agreement, and the biggest thing you're going to talk about is how we as agents get paid now. Now, typically the standard would be used like, hey, the seller pays me, don't worry about it. We can no longer do that really. So they can pay you a couple different ways. However, we're going to sit down and we have to have a very concise amount that you're going to pay me for the most part. Say your budget's $300 and say we agree 3%, so that's $9,000. Okay, so that's what we're going to agree upon. Now, if we go write an offer and the seller is only offering say 2% to me as your agent, we're going to have to discuss the other 1%, the other $3,000 to go under contract on this house. Now, I can come down to 2%, right? From 3 to 2, I can come down. However, if the seller's offering more, say 4%, my 3% cannot go up to 4%. Okay, that 3% stays the same, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we have to have agreement about how much we're getting paid, and that you're actually paying me what you always have been. It just wasn't probably the clearest in the traditional way, because that 3% that I got paid was always wrapped up in the price for the most part. We're going to be sitting down, which I love that aspect of it. It's forcing us legally. This isn't the agent's doing. There are going to be a lot of buyers, especially first-time home buyers, who just want to go see a house, and agents will be like, I can't show you a house. It's a federal law. I cannot show you now, and we're going to sign an agreement, and I'm not going to lose my license. A lot of consumers are going to get mad at their agent. Don't get mad at the agent. They're just doing what you all wanted us to do, which we got sued for, is to have a little more transparency and clarity on how the buyer agent gets paid. All right, I will say, a little excerpt here, real estate is probably the most transparent how anyone gets paid in sales. If you haven't sold a house or bought a house, when you go to closing, you get an Alta statement, and it shows all your costs from the title company, how much you're paying the lender for fees and appraisals and all that, and how much the real estate agent's making on their commission. It's very transparent. You don't see that at car dealerships. You sure don't see that with your insurance guy, right? You don't know how much he makes on every payment. You don't know that with your financial advisor. Sure, that says 1 or 2% here, but we really don't know what that means. I'll be honest, I think real estate is one of the most transparent how we get paid. It's right there on the statement that everybody signs. Now let's go back. All right, so you sign the agreement, you have a set amount paid, and you cannot go see a house without an agent. So just keep that in mind. Don't get mad. It's going to take a few years for this to kind of get settled in. Just understand you got to have an agent with a signed agreement to work with you. Now, on the seller side, here's a couple options you can do. You can, as of now, have the listing agent share his commission like we've always done. So say like, hey Trent, I'm going to give you 6%. You're going to do 6, and then I want you to offer 3% to the buy side. All right, cool, got it, we'll do that. I can negotiate all this too, and so can the seller, okay? So either I can still share my commission, which is what we've been doing. The second thing is the seller can say, hey, I want to offer a fixed rate. Here's $3,000 to the buyer agent, that's it. Or they can say, I want to offer 2% commission. And then the other thing they can do is the seller can offer just a general concession, and we can actually put that in the remarks. Because along with this new ruling, there's no more commission on the MLS, our multiple listing service, which we use as agents. There's no commission on any other websites, things like that, because they thought we were steering agents towards higher commissions. Another excerpt, or a little asterisk here is, I don't know about you, but there's no way I could make someone sign 30 pages at closing so I can make another 0.5%, 1% commission on a $500,000, $300,000 house. Sure, agents might say, hey, well, let's go take a look at this one, right? But you can't force someone to write an offer when they do all this pre-work, all this paperwork, and all this stuff in advance. If you go to closing and sign the paperwork, you won the house. That's my opinion. Now let's go back. All right, so there's no more commissions online. We can't see anything, any of that fun stuff. We can drop our commission. We cannot go up. The seller can offer the listing agent to say, split your commission, or here's a flat rate, or here's a certain amount of commission I'm going to ask. Or the other way they can do is the seller can put it online in the agent remarks, once you see the description on the property. The sellers want to offer, say, $8,000 in concession to the buyers to use however they want. You can't say $8,000 in commission to the buyer agent, but you just say $8,000 to the buyer however they want. So paint, closing costs, your buyer agent commission, whatever it is, the seller can do it that way. We still have essence the old way of doing it. It's just a little more transparent on the buyer side, which I've always hated when agents would say, hey, don't worry, the seller pays me. It's not true. So it's just a little more clear on the buyer side. I think it's going to make things a little more tight. On the buyer side, just beware of these cheap off brokerages or agents or even lawyers like, oh, I'll write a contract for you for 0%. And if you call me as a listing agent, I'm making you sign a buyer agent agreement. We're going to talk commission because it's a law. We have to receive commission to get covered, insurance and all that fun stuff. But I think we're going to see a lot of people calling the listing agent directly to get into the house and try not pay a buyer agent fee at all. So it is going to be interesting. Don't get frustrated. We're all figuring this out. It's a whole new lawsuit. To be honest with you, we're not even done yet. The DOJ still wants the whole thing revamped and redone again. So we might see changes. It is July 31st right now. So if this thing changes, I'll let you know. That's why I waited 2 weeks before. So again, this starts August 17th. You do have to have a buyer agency agreement signed to look at a house. The commission will be paid by the buyer, maybe offset by the seller or the full amount by the seller. We don't know how the market's going to lay out yet. And again, this all I think came out because the sellers, it's been such a huge seller market, they may have thought the seller agent took advantage of them or something like that. I don't know. But the tides are changing. Okay, we're seeing 15 to 20% of homes follow a contract for whatever reason. Inspections, affordability is the biggest factor. At the end of the day, when they get to closing, they can't afford it. We're seeing 20 to 30% of homes have price decreases, right? And we're seeing longer days on market. So we're shifting not so much to a buyer's market. We're sitting in the middle where it's going to stagnate a little bit unless we get some more supply. Supply is going to solve all of our problems. I think it will cause all this animosity and all this stuff kind of going on in real estate to go away. And sooner real estate goes back to its boring ways of 3 to 5% appreciation every year and lower interest rates and 2,000 plus homes in this Dayton area available, the better it is for everyone. It's less stress. Everyone can relax a little bit, have better expectations. And with that, if you are looking to buy or sell or know anyone in the Dayton area, North Cincinnati area, I would love to help you out. Put a comment in the video below or send us an email and we'll get back to you and we'll connect. Thanks.